bowling center for open bowling time.
And here we are at Durbin Bowl in Lawrenceburg, Indiana for week number 5 of the BPA right here on Channel 5 Cincinnati style. The first match today pits a man we've seen the last 2 weeks, Mr. Rick Pollard from Versailles, Indiana. His opponent will be a first-timer this year, Ron Hunt, also from Indiana, Richmond. Pollard's first ball, and boy, is he blistering them today, Dave. We've seen smoke coming off those pins.
Crank him up, Pollard. He's been right around the pocket area every shadow ball before the match. I think he is going to be in good shape today, Tom.
His opponent today, as you see Mr. Pollard, I would imagine very happy with that first ball. Ron Hunt, as I said, a first-time member, but well known to the Indiana audience. He from Richmond, Indiana. His first ball, Dave, 2 strikes right off the bat.
Well, it's easy to see why he's well known. And also in shadow balls, lined up, end over end roll, good execution, good form at the line. It's a little tougher for a big man to get in the proper position to deliver the ball, but he has mastered that problem.
Sam, you can attest to that. You being of the larger stature, I'm sure you've had no problem getting into the lanes.
No, 6'2", but I get in the pocket. I always had a lot of fun with this game. Ron's a good pocket shooter, I'll tell you that. One of them Hoosier hot shots.
Ron Hunt, second frame here from Durbin Bowl in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Just missed the head pin, Dave, and that is going to be a tough one to convert.
Exactly, Tom. The ball got away from him, laid it down a little short, didn't have the good roll and the authority as on the other shot, but this isn't quite a washout. The 1-2-10. Now, normally, you would like to, as the arrow indicates there on these AMF spare guides, hit the head pin to the left side, let the ball carry the 2, and throw the head pin into the 10. Let's see if he can do it.
Well, he just missed the head pin, but an open frame nevertheless for Ron Hunt. And talk about open frames, I don't know if anyone saw the PBA tour stop yesterday, the True Value Open over in Peoria, Illinois. Our own Cincinnati boy, Steve Fair, left a couple 2.57s.
That's right. Yeah, a little tough luck he had.
3 open frames, but nevertheless picked up $6 grand. Rick Pollard, second ball, second frame, and speaking of opens, ain't going to get him too much more difficult than that, Dave.
The big 4, the 4, 6, 7, 10, almost unmakeable, Tom. In most positions, the bowler is going to try to go for 2. However, we have a little different animal here in Rick Pollard. There you see it. What he's going to try to do is throw the ball with a high level of intensity, Sam.
A little dip on it, I'd say.
Yeah, he's going to throw at the 4-7, I believe. No, he's going the other way, cross lane, and we're trying to bring it out of the pit like that.
Oh, wow. That 10 pin will be feeling it for a while.
Bill Seibel is writing out an invoice right now for 1 pin.
He knocked about 6 ounces off that 3-6 pin.
Yeah, Rick just come back from Nashville. He shot 13.04 in a 5-game block, including an 8.03. That's his 4th, plus another 300. That's his 10th 300.
Must be getting boring.
That's right.
Yeah, monotonous regularity, I guess.
Oh. He flirted with disaster, but nevertheless.
Broke it down, leaving a 4 pin. Should be no problem. We would shoot cross lane for this, and for as good a spare shooter as Rick Pollard is, I don't think we'll have any problems with him.
A man who started bowling in Japan when his dad was over there in the Air Force. Sam, you know his dad.
Dad very well. He's here watching today.
A good crowd here at Durbin Bowl over in the Hoosier state of Lawrenceburg, Indiana.
Well, they're both even at 26, and Rick is with a spare up. So they got to get some strikes right from here on.
Ron Hunt, 27-year-old part-time electrician from Richmond, Indiana. He is a tall drink of water, Dave.
He's a big guy. Throws a good ball. Most of the time.
Most of the time. This one.
Ball's trailing off sharply on the back ends. Let me try to set up what's happening here to the folks at home. The lanes, in a lot of instances, especially with the hot camera lights that we have here, the oil will dissipate, and it makes it a little more of a challenge for the bowlers to try to figure out where to play and consistently strike. But both bowlers, you saw it, Tommy, shadow balls, just throwing pins all over the place. having a little trouble here in the onset of this game.
Well, Hunt brought the 6 over, but not quite enough to take out the 7, so another open frame for Ron Hunt.
Well, they're qualifying today at Pinhouse, and high so far is Danny Moses, 736, Tim Sharp, 732, and Drew Houck was 708.
What's the matter, didn't Tucky bowl?
He was in Nashville, sir. I'm sorry.
He didn't bowl.
He gave everybody else a chance.
Well, he's going back today, though.
Nice to see 3 new names on the leaderboard.
Really? What do you call that one, Sam?
That's the quick 6. 2, 4, 5, 8. Quick 6. That's right.
Previously the bucket.
We'll learn, Tom, all these lingos before it's over.
This spare is brought back strictly by treating it as a pocket shot. If you're left-hander, you bring it in between the 2 and the 4. In Ron's case, he will try to bring the ball to the right of center on the 2-pin, and with enough drive to go through and get the 8.
Just
Perfect.
as Dave Newrath said. Dave, you look up at the ball rack here and you see a bevy of balls. I guess all the bowlers going with what you said about the possible breakdown in the alleys, the lanes.
Well, that's quite a collection, is right. Mostly urethane. As far as I can see, there's only one plastic ball in the lane, and it's not in use right now. Light shaker 7.
7-pin. Did not go.
Well, going high, protecting against going high this time. He gives the ball just a little bit more room and leaves a light shaker.
Mentioned Rick Pollard. This is his 3rd appearance on the BPA King of Bowling. And week 3 at Coleman Lanes up in Fairfield, he lost to Bob Glandorf. Last week it was to the smiling one, Wayne Sherman. And Pollard takes out the 7 to convert the spare here in the 4th frame.
In the girls' division over at Pinhouse, Catherine Tidwell's leading with 621. They're qualifying today. Next shift will be 1 o'clock.
Sam, you mentioned Rick and Ray Perez were down in Nashville yesterday. Rick and Ray rolled in today about 3:30 in the morning, so working on minimal amount of sleep, but yet still mixing the pins up, and the 10 at attention down there, Dave Newrath.
Excellent, excellent shot. Trying to get things started. What's he going to do? He's going to flush the pocket. 10-pin says, no way, not today. He's shaking his head. He doesn't believe it either.
Last week at Glenn Schmidt, Pollard lost by a mere 2 pins to Wayne Sherman. As I said, Sherman, the smiling one, always had that approach that looked like he had a grin that he knew that he had mastery over the pin. And Pollard picks up the spare here in the 5th.
The way he bowled last week, I'd be grinning too. Wayne bowled especially well. There's just to the left of Ron is Mr. Pollard, the father of all these bowling Pollards.
Of course, Regina, the sister of Rick, we saw a couple weeks ago, is the queen of bowling. Ron Hunt, 5th frame. And he's got the magic back. The 2nd strike of the day.
And we have Phil Burdick here from Udapole Brewery today, and we have Bob Lon, the distributor here in Indiana, here.
With this warm spring-like weather, those Hudys taste better and better every day.
Here,
Sam, take a look at the score.
In a 4th, it's Rick Pollard got 64 in a 4th, and Ron's got 55 with a strike up, and then they need some X's here.
Ron Hunt trying to put back-to-back X's here. Goes in the left lane.
Oh, yeah.
Very pretty. Very pretty.
Here comes the train. Don't count Ron Hunt out. Just because in Greater Cincinnati we haven't seen him on the 2 before, that man right there can throw the bowling ball.
No, he works in lanes in Richmond, Indiana, Dave. He works in Do-Re-Mi lanes.
Look out. Is he going to get a break?
No, and he knew it too. Yeah, the hands immediately went to the head. And I have a feeling coming off an 800 series and a 300 game yesterday, maybe a little down today. Do bowlers get down after having such a superb day?
Tom, not really. What he was doing yesterday is not typical to Rick's game. He told me before the show that he was throwing the ball especially hard, revving it up, and playing an area of the lane that he normally doesn't play. So between his arm swing being changed, the fact that he was throwing hard for a lot of games yesterday and hitting the ball as hard as he could, it's probably a little tough for him to get back to his normal groove right now.
Of course, the winner of this match goes on to meet Rick Hensley, who we saw a couple weeks ago back in week number 2 at Stones Lanes on Montgomery Road. Hensley, the barber from Florence, Kentucky. Mr. Pollard mixes them up well, but still leaves the 7-pin on the left lane.
He can't believe it. He's throwing everything at him, Tom. He's flushing the pocket. He's going light. He's trying to, you know, fit it up in there tight. Nothing seems to work for Rick Pollard today. Shoot cross lane for the 7-pin.
Seventh frame.
Actually, what's happened now, Tom, is that Ron Hunt, with a 8 or a 9 count, jumps into the lead substantially.
That's going to be a very big frame here next year.
Hunt working on a double. That open frame in the third didn't help him much. Ron Hunt, 7th frame.
Ringing 10. The ball that would have put him well ahead in the match. What's he do? He flushes it down, and to no avail, the 10-pin jumps up again. 84 to 83. 1-pin advantage. Strike up. We're going to have a close one.
Yes, we are. And of course, just a reminder, for all you people who may have been asleep the past couple weeks, Ray Tucky Perez, the king of bowling, going into week number 3. That after a 2-week stint by Alan Downs, who came in as the 1985 inaugural king.
Got quite a crowd here at Durbin Bowl today.
Tremendous crowd.
Well, in the 6th frame, Ron Hunt's got 104 and Pollard's got 102, and they're both on spares, so we started got to get some more X's here. Oh, we got a big, beautiful crowd. They always come out of Durbin Bowl.
Of course, next week we'll go over to see the betting houses at Pin House over on Vine Street in the Queen City. Oh.
How about that smash?
The quick 8, the 4-7. Good shot.
4 had ideas of going down there, Mr. Newrath.
Yeah, however, the ball, it was a good shot, Tom. You really can't put any fault on execution there. Just a bad break. The ball driving off exceptionally hard on the back end, leaving the 4-7. But as we can see, for a good bowler, no problem.
Well, next week we're qualifying LaRue lanes over Charlie Goldfuss over the LaRue lanes.
I get to put on my shoes next week, Sam.
Right back in your backyard, too.
There you go.
No. I live in Ohio now.
You do?
Yeah.
Sam.
You're a Buckeye, huh?
My visa expired in Kentucky.
Oh, Pollard, his first strike since the first frame. And that's the type of pins he was knocking down in practice.
Exactly. Super shot. I mean, just as high up into the pocket as you could possibly throw one. If anything would have stood up on that ball, Tom, there'd have been an inquest.
Okay. 9th frame for Rick Pollard. This is his 3rd straight week on the BPA. Still looking to get by his first match. This may be the day we see Rick Pollard advance to game number 2.
Did he want it? You bet he did.
That was a big X there, I'll tell you that. He can go out for 212, and Ron can go out for 202.
That's right. The situation is this, Tom. If Bill Pollard, or Ron Pollard,
How about Rick Pollard?
how about Rick Pollard takes it to the wall, he will win the match. Ron Hunt can do nothing about it. However, his job right now is to strike.
He double dribbled that one.
Ball slipped out of his hand, dropping down behind the line and killing all the potential roll, Tom. Ron Hunt now has to count on Rick Pollard making a mistake.
And I'll tell you, when it comes down to that, Rick doesn't make all that many mistakes.
No.
Ron Hunt, 9th frame, and he picks up the spare, the 1-2-8 spare. Take a look at the scores here, Sam. Set it up for us for the rest of game 1.
Well, Ron's got 139 in his spare. He can go out for 189, and Rick can go out with 3 strikes for 212.
Ron Hunt should happen to throw 3 in the 10th. It will force Rick Pollard to mark.
We're seeing that Mr. Hunt is a heat player.
Tough in the clutch, I guess you'd call that. He must get this strike to have a shot.
Ron Hunt, 27 years old. A Hoosier from Richmond, Indiana, down the road a piece. Of course, we are in the Hoosier State, in case you tuned in late today. We're over at Durbin Bowl in Lawrenceburg, right across the river.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that backdoor
How about
hacksaw
that?
on the 4-pin.
He's going to make Rick Pollard earn this one.
That's right.
Look at him, Rick saying, well, every time it happens to me, I wonder what's going on. Looking at the score, figuring out what he has to do.
Well, we always have spine-tingling games every week. We never have a walkover.
Last 4 weeks? Well,
We had one.
Don't mention that, please.
Kenny Lynch in week number 2. I would say bested Ray Tucky Perez
By
266 to 140.
Man.
Oh, he strings together 3 straight. And Ron Hunt, as Sam Coleman predicted back in the 9th frame, goes out with a 189.
Count is critical right here. Rick Pollard not only has to mark, but he's got to mark big, Tom. We got to go 9 spare 9, or 9 spare 8 to win by a pin.
Well, Dave, I would say the best mark would be a strike.
Well, we know that's what he's going to be shooting for.
Huh.
Smoke. He clutches the fifth. That magic right hand of his.
He wanted it bad. He's been bowling well. He deserves to win after throwing shots like that.
That's right. Ron had 189, and Rick needed a mark. He got a strike, so he can still get 212 yet.
Rick Pollard, 10th frame. He's stringing them together.
That's the Rick Pollard I know.
That's right. That's right. And of course, Ron Hunt proved a great test for him, but the barber from Florence, Kentucky, Rick Hensley, coming up, and that man throws a very deceptive ball.
Deceptive is right. Accurate.
Accurate is another good adjective.
Deadly accurate. But Rick Pollard's not afraid of anybody, not with those kind of revolutions.
Oh, yes. So the first game is history here in week number 5 as Rick Pollard best Ron Hunt 211 to 189 to win the right to go on and meet the barber from Florence, Rick Hensley. All that action coming up in game number 2 on the BPA King of Bowling right here on Channel 5.